Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Previously, the cross-examination of Darklaw continued, and I think we pressed her into so much of a corner that I think she's trying to take a small hit to get away with the big score. She has openly admitted to being the Great Witch to the Shades in the Eldritch Woods, but I believe she's going to try and play that as it being some sort of secret operation carried out by the Inquisitors. So it's up to us to press her more and find the truth, so let's hop right back in here, shall we? Right, we have a lot to press. But we should keep an eye on Kira, because Kira doesn't like Darklaw much anymore. Bless her. You know, to think that at one point I was like, you know what, screw this lady. She's a murderer. But no, Kira's the best. She's so helpful. I can't get over it. Anyway. Shades live outside the realm of those who dwell within Labyrinthia. To them, I am known as the Great Witch.
Hold it!
Great Witch? Yes, that's right. However, I am not Bezella. The mistress to those who dwell in the Eldritch Woods is dubbed the Great Witch. That's not confusing at all. Even if I wanted to be Bezella, I couldn't. As the ever-so-charming Inquisitor stated earlier, I cannot use magic. Miss Darklaw, I have one question. What do you mean by live outside the realm? I mean just that, Inquisitor. We truly do live in a realm separate from this town. Now, surely one as intelligent as yourself has worked out the answer by now, no? Perhaps. That remains to be seen, Miss Darklaw. Regardless, 'tis something we cannot discuss with anyone. But it is something that the defense should be able to prove. That almost sounds like a challenge. By the way, Miss Darklaw, since you're not actually a witch, why do you continue to be called that? To answer that, I must first discuss the true identity of the Shades. Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials become Shades who live their lives in the woods.
Hold it!
So you're saying that the Kira here right now is a Shade version of the Kira from before? Indeed, Defender. The girl has no recollection of her life prior to living in those woods. What manner of witchery is this? Why, this girl, Kira the flower seller, was cast straight to the flames before our very eyes. That's right, Your Honor. But as you can see, she didn't die. You see, there's actually a trick to the incineration device in the witch's court. A trick? Once the verdict has been delivered, the court attendants move the steel cage into position, after which it seals shut. Then the cage is dropped down into a pit of fire. The bottom of the cage then opens, allowing the witch inside to escape unharmed into an underground passage. If what you're saying is true, Defender, then what of this town's witch purging history? What has been the purpose of all this? You and the knights have indeed been ridding Labyrinthia of witches. However, nary a single life has been taken in the process. That is the reality. Well, now I'm just wondering about witch victims. Like, what of mugs and robs? There was a point in the Eldritch Woods where it's like, hey, that shade is standing next to one that's way shorter. Is that Muggs and Robs in shade robes? I don't... Like, if the story's going so far as to say that no witch has ever died of, like, unnatural causes, then I want to believe there's never been any true victims either. Except for people who, like, take their own lives out of fear or whatnot, like Belduke. But you cannot truly expect me to believe such a ridiculous notion. Your Honor, it's true? Luke? Oh, of course. What a perfect time to reveal it. I guess she wants to really scratch that itch on her head, huh? Take a good hard look. It doesn't get any more alive than this. Oh, it's you. I am A. Yeah, that's kind of her name. Well, it's actually Maya Fey, your forgetfulness. What the heck are you doing? Everyone's gonna recognize you. Yeah, but seeing is believing, Nick. Now they have to believe you. Do you see? Are you satisfied? All those found guilty in the witch trials lose their names, magic, and memory. They are then sent to spend their lives as shades in the Eldritch Woods. And the mistress of those shades is the Great Witch. As you can see, this girl too has become a shade. I have no more words to express my utter disbelief at this situation. That's enough. Shall we return to the testimony? Why do I have the feeling things are going to get a lot worse? We exist to carry out tasks given to us by our mistress, the Great Witch herself.
Hold it!
These tasks you mention, were you acting on them this evening? Yes, I was told to come here and become Bezella. Ooh. Wait just a moment, witness. Did you just say become Bezella? My, how absolutely dreadful. Why would anyone be given such a terrible task? Where have these shades come from? Order? Order? I'm sorry. I don't know why I was given such a task. All I can do is follow the orders I am given. If I can do that, then I can return. What do you mean you can return? Such is the nature of the shades. Neither human nor witch, theirs is an existence spent in the shadows. Each of the shades is given specific tasks. Then, upon successfully completing such tasks, they are allowed to return to Labyrinthia as brand new people. But Lady Darklaw, how can they return as brand new citizens? When we already know who they were. For instance, we all recognize the former flower seller standing before us. Now that, my lord, remains a secret, but a secret you will come to understand sooner rather than later. Yeah, like, do they meddle with the memories of every townsperson? How ridiculous does this get? It's weird. It's simply baffling. The one who gives us our tasks is the Great Witch. That would be you, Lady Darklaw. Oh magnificent one. While this explanation is wrought with much I cannot comprehend, I request the witness to add it to their testimony.
Okay. Lady Darklaw was our venerable mistress. She assigned us our tasks. She was the Great Witch.
Hold it!
So, about these tasks, can you give us any other examples?
A shade's tasks must never be discussed with others, no matter what.
She says that even though she just finished telling us all about her secret task. Maybe one of her orders is to spill the beans in just the right way? Incidentally, do you perhaps remember when you arrived back in town to carry out your orders?
Well, not really. My memory is still a little fuzzy. Say, didn't Kira only just recently become one of those shades thingies? Still, I failed in my task tonight.
Come to think of it, when Luke and I had our little run-in with Kira, I remember being blown clear across the marketplace. But I never saw any explosives or gunpowder.
Maybe Kira was given the task of blowing you to smithereens, Nick.
And we're done. Getting back to this testimony, I'm sure there's something here that just doesn't add up.
I am not a witch, nor am I a wandering spirit.
Hold it!
You really don't have any recollection of your old flower-selling self, do you?
I don't. When a witch becomes a shade, they lose all memory of their past life.
They lose their memories, but why? And yet, you still have some grasp of the concept of magic, do you not, witness?
Let me spell it out for you. Magic does not exist in the Eldritch Woods. Oh, but there are actually lots of things back in the forest that I have not seen in this town.
There are things that you haven't seen here?
Like really huge machines, that sort of thing.
Huge machines? 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 I mean, there's the village with the wells and the huts, and there's the altar made of stone, there was the bridge to the mansion itself, the cauldrons inside. Machines?
There's one that spits out fire with such amazing speed, and then it expels these huge plumes of gray smoke.
Huh? A machine that spits fire? Never have I heard of such a thing. Are you certain that these machines of which you speak are not simply magic?
You know, now that you mention it, I don't think anyone from this town can actually see those of us from the forest.
Huh? They can't see you? Could it be something like that robe? How can such a thing even be possible without magic?
Objection!
Miss Darklaw, if I may interrupt for just a moment.
What is it, Inquisitor Layton?
Through your testimony just now, we have all come to understand the process of how one becomes a shade. However, I was hoping you could perhaps elaborate on one additional point. Namely, what exactly is the purpose behind the shades?
If you wish to know our purpose, there are certain other things you must first understand. Once you've done that, the answer should be quite clear. Isn't that right, Defender?
The purpose behind the shades.
Rest assured you will not get the answer from me. As the saying goes, the witch is in your court, Defender.
Sounds like Darklaw's challenging me to figure this out. Challenge accepted.
There is but one true purpose for the shades that dwell within the Eldritch Woods.
Hold it!
Miss Darklaw, what is the purpose of the shades?
As mistress to the shades, I cannot disclose the purpose of their existence.
Well then, since Miss Darklaw is unable to tell us herself, it seems we must rely on evidence instead. Evidence, huh? I do believe the shades could have something to do with that which exists in this town but ought not to. Phoenix and Maya and Layton and Luke themselves? Something that exists, but shouldn't. Well, Defender, are you prepared to present evidence? Yeah, I guess I have, yeah. I was born ready, Your Honor. Okay, I think that might be a clue. I was born ready for this. Yeah, we can present himself. We can present Phoenix here, maybe. Wait, actually, no, if I look at the profiles... Crap. No, Phoenix is not here. Uh-oh, wait. Something that exists in this town, but shouldn't. I think I know what you're getting at, Professor. Is it the concept of magic itself? If magic doesn't exist in London and the real world, and magic doesn't exist in the Eldritch Woods, why does magic only exist here in Labyrinthia? Defender, please present your evidence. Yes, Your Honor. The purpose of the shades could be to make sure this particular thing exists in Labyrinthia. A pendant? Could it be Bezella? No, Bezella doesn't exist yet. Maybe? Wait. Maybe, oh. I'm going to use a hint coin. Yeah. The Grimoire. Which one is it, though? Is it any? Is it just magic itself? You know what? I think I did nail it. I think I nailed it. It's the concept of magic itself. It shouldn't exist. But, you know, I think I can really just show any. Let's give it a shot. Well. Maybe... Let's try Grandworm. It's the most relevant to this case, after all.
Take that!
Something that doesn't exist. I have a feeling no one is going to like the answer I'm about to give, and it'll probably end up shaking this town to its core. But I've got to tell them. The truth has to come out. Since I arrived here in Labyrinthia, there's been no shortage of really strange events. Ignace, Daimir, Godor, Goldor, and now Grandworm. The mere command of magic is in itself a crime, is it not? In this town, witches are arrested and made to participate in witch trials. They are then sentenced to death by fire. But none of those witches actually died. That supposed death by fire wasn't real. And neither is magic. It doesn't really exist. Okay, listen. If this is where we're going, I demand really good answers. From the beginning to right now, I need explanations for everything. How did the bell tower appear? How did Darklaw animate the statues in London to assail Carmine's car? How did Darklaw make a windstorm appear in Layton's office? How did Jean make a portal through the wall to reach behind his master, or her master? How did Muggs and Robs disappear in an instant when they were consumed by fire? How did the bell tower appear? I think I already did that. How did the fire dragon appear in front of the entire townspeople? We need new answers for literally everything. This game better deliver. What are you saying, Defender? The Eldritch Woods apparently contain some rather large machines, unlike anything that exists within Labyrinthia. Machines that emit fire and produce large plumes of smoke. To top it all off, the citizens of Labyrinthia are not able to see said machines. It sounds like nothing more than magic. Yes, that's exactly it, Your Honor. Miss Darklaw. Magic doesn't really exist in this town. That's the answer, isn't it? Magic does not? What utter nonsense!
It seems we have finally arrived at the stunning conclusion. The secret behind Labyrinthia. Okay.
What? Order? Order? Order, I say. What is the meaning of this? It means that all of the magic you've seen in this town was nothing more than an illusion created and put into motion by the Shades. But, Defender, the witches, we have clearly seen them use magic. Oh, and the gold Layton. And the gold goat? Yeah, when Jean was a little kid, the gold goat. Look, okay, so think about Jean's past as a little kid. Her mother and father were freaking out about being so poor they were about to lose their house, right? And so Jean goes out alone into the back door, out into the wilderness a bit in the fields, and starts looking around for like a leaf or stone to turn into gold so they can sell. You're telling me a shade was there, just waiting, in full knowledge that Jean was about to cast a gold spell, and was able to put a golden goat in front of Jean and escape with the real goat that they were replacing without anyone no. And the statues in London? I need answers now. Let us take a moment to think carefully about the systems employed by the Shades. Systems? What is essential in order for a witch to use magic? The witch must possess a Telea Magica and must say an incantation in order to cast a spell. And the spells able to be cast are determined by the scepter's magic gems. Now, what do you think is the purpose of placing such requirements on the use of magic? Oh, what do you mean, purpose? These requirements are not there to allow the user to cast magic. Rather, the reality is they are there to inform the Shades of who would be using magic. Of who should be using magic. And what about the secret chamber built into the London Bridge that glowed and the brick shifted apart like the friggin' Diagon Alley hallway in Harry Potter? And wasn't that hallway impossible because it went perpendicular to the bridge? And how did Darklaw float in the sky above the Ray suspension bridge? And how did Darklaw fly through the air fast enough to follow Carmine's car? And it is possible that witches were always being closely observed by Shades. That's why they donned these robes, to appear hidden until they were needed to create magic. Create? Indeed. There are all kinds of spells within this tome. It would be quite troublesome if they were simply allowed to use any spell at will. Yeah, it would make the Shades' job that much more difficult for sure. Precisely so. That is why it was imperative that a certain restriction be placed on the use of magic. Ah, you're referring to the Telea Magica, right, Professor? Of course. No wonder the scepter could contain only 2 magic gems. Then there's the incantation. What would happen if a witch could simply whisper the incantation quietly to herself, or not even say it at all?
Boy, that'd be so cool. I'd be casting spells all day long and no one would ever see it coming.
Maya, we spent an entire trial proving that you weren't a witch, remember? If the witches didn't give some sort of signal, then there would be no way for the Shades to know when to cast the spell. Right you are, Mr. Wright. The incantations were a way of telling the Shades when the witch was ready to use magic. What on earth? Never did I think these requirements could have such a purpose. Now, let's think back to the previous events, leading up to today, that have involved magic. No, Layton. Begin earlier. No. Nuh-uh. Okay. Our first encounter with magic was the use of the spell Ignaze a few nights ago. A spell like this was nothing more than a flame spewed from a machine being used by the Shades. Oh my god, we're really doing this, aren't we? Then that means Dimir. A spell that makes the caster disappear. No doubt about it, it must have been this robe. Next is the incident with Goldor, the spell that transmuted me into a gold statue. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need a real good explanation for this. You had Luke and a bunch of townspeople witnesses rushing in through the one and only door, and Phoenix was in the cellar down below, and the real Layton and Maya were cornered by the Great Witch, Darklaw. What's happened here? While I understand this may sound a bit absurd, I can only surmise. That the Shades created a gold statue in my image, took me, and left it in my place the instant the incantation was uttered. Okay, I can kind of believe this one, because the one uttering this incantation is the Great Witch. They probably really planned this ahead, and like... Okay, but Layton arrived in town just a few days ago. How did they get that much gold, and how did they sculpt into his perfect likeness? And how did Maya not see any of this? Hello? Professor, it's no more absurd than anything else that's happened so far. We can therefore conclude that all of the magic in Labyrinthia was created in a similar vein. No, we can't! What do you say to that, Miss Darklaw?
I'd expect nothing less from you, Inquisitor Layton. At any given time, there were between 5 and 10 witches in town. All of the witches were accompanied by shades at all times.
Even to the bathroom?
It was easier than you would think. You see, the shades living in the Eldritch Woods total in the hundreds. It was simply a matter of having each of the shades operate in shifts in order to watch over each of the witches within the town.
So they really had that golden goat ready to go, huh? Really? I must say, Lady Darklaw, that is quite a number of shades.
'Twas not only those who fell victim to the flames that were turned into shades, but their victims too were made permanent residents of the Eldritch Woods.
Okay, that figures.
Then, those two shady thieves from before were turned into shades? Ah, yes, you mean Robs and Muggs. Despite their dubious appearance, those two are a couple of my best shades. Shady thieves turned into shades. The stuff writes itself.
Well, maybe it should have been written more careful. Okay, look, I don't want to make any judgment calls yet, but I don't like this so far. I don't like this at all. Maybe it'll be redeemed. Maybe there's going to be more to this. I cannot believe what I have heard. I don't believe it either. However, there is still one thing I do not understand just yet.
And what would that be?
As has just been explained, we have established that there is no possibility of magic being real. But replacing me with a gold statue to give the illusion of transmutation, for example, while it sounds simple enough, I myself, and presumably also Miss Fey, have no recollection of this replacement actually taking place.
Yeah, how did they knock out Layton?
Even with the alchemical knockout concoction from Belduke's own stock, Kira put up a long struggle. So how did Layton get knocked out instantly, and how did Maya not notice anything?
Hey, that's right. The professor got all blingy before I could even bat an eye.
It begs the question, how and when was that statue created, let alone used to replace me? That is true. The same goes for Godor. It's supposed to create a portal between two green-colored walls. Perhaps that is exactly why the spell can only work on green walls, Mr. Wright. Still, it'd be impossible for the Shades to get those portals ready so quickly. I agree. If we take a moment to think, we can see that all of these spells have one strange thing in common. A thing in common? Yes, indeed. Almost as if some time between the start and end of the incident was unaccounted for. Huh? Furthermore, any memory I might have had regarding the incident seems to have simply disappeared in the process.
I've got it. Nick. It's just like what happened to Kira. She's got absolutely no memory of her life in Labyrinthia before the trial, right? Yes, I do not remember this Kira you speak of. And, oh yeah, when you really think about it, doesn't it seem super weird how the Shades are able to return to town if they complete their tasks?
You're right, Maya. I mean, the townsfolk are bound to remember some things about them, right? Like how Miss Kira here threw a major hissy fit in court and was barbecued for being a witch. Eloquently put, Mr. Wright. Hence, we cannot yet conclude that this entire illusion was primarily accomplished through the use of machinery. Simply put, there must have been some way of affecting the memories of all those within the confines of this town. And how do we explain the invisibility cloak?
Missing time and lost memories? Now that is interesting, Inquisitor. You are correct. There is, in fact, a secret that lies within the depths of the Eldritch Woods. Something that the people of this town cannot see. Something that can rob people of their time and memories. 'Tis the very thing that connects all of what you have heard tonight. 'Tis a secret of monumental proportions.
Okay. And let me guess. 'Tis a secret that cannot be revealed by the mistress of the Eldritch Woods. Is that correct?
Yes. An excellent deduction, Defender.
Witches' souls wander astray within the Eldritch Woods. Until tonight, I thought this nothing but a mere fairy tale told to children. But it has become clear that a seemingly large organization lies within that forest.
The Witch's Court is the border between this world and the other world.
Then that means, in this world you're Labyrinthia's High Inquisitor, while also being mistress to the Shades in the other world, otherwise known as the Great Witch. May I intervene for just a moment, Mr. Wright? Sure. In all honesty, there is still something that sticks out as a little odd, particularly in Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. Did you say the previous testimony? I've already pushed that out of my head. There was one vital truth that we managed to take away from that testimony. You mean that magic does not truly exist in Labyrinthia? Indeed, quite the vital, albeit shocking truth. However, There is one more truth hidden within that same testimony.
There's something else in that testimony? I must have checked the court record more times than I can count, but I didn't find a single other contradiction.
Have you forgotten already, Mr. Wright? When there is no evidence left, we have but one more weapon at our disposal with which to uncover the truth.
Oh, hey, I've got it, Nick. Remember? In a witch trial, you can cross-examine two witnesses at the same time.
Hey, that's right, I completely forgot. Being able to have a look at two testimonies side by side is bound to turn up a contradiction somewhere. And that contradiction should provide us with a much-needed clue.
I'm not entirely sure where the professor is going with this, but I believe in his judgment. Besides, if we're going to blow this case wide open, it's got to be worth a shot.
Very well, we will now take a closer look at Lady Darklaw's previous testimony. This is it, Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. There is a glaring contradiction between this piece of testimony and the others. Ready yourself, Mr. Wright.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials become shades who live their lives in the woods. That seems true. Lady Darklaw was our venerable mistress. She assigned us our tasks. She was the Great Witch. By all means, I think that is true. I am not a witch, nor am I a wandering spirit. Well, if you're not a shade, what are you? There is but one true purpose for the shades that dwell within the Eldritch Woods. Well, we could say one true purpose. Maybe there's more than one. I do have health on the line, so I'm going to use a hint coin. Okay. Let's see. Lady Darklaw was our venerable mistress. She assigned us our tasks. She was a great witch. Yeah, this is a mystery. What do you mean by this? We need to question this.
Objection!
The
Mr. Wright, please wait a moment. Perhaps you would be better served not leaving this up to chance, would you not agree?
How'd you know it was a 50-50? But Professor, I could have sworn that was it. Well, if anything is going to contradict Miss Darklaw's testimony, you'd think it'd have to come from Kira. She only has two statements. If it's not one, it's got to be the other. The technical term is process of elimination, Nick. Gee, thanks for the pro tip, Maya.
Mr. Wright, please take a moment to think this through carefully and try again.
Got it, Professor.
Very well, we will now take a closer look at Lady Darklaw's previous testimony.
Okay. Well, I guess that means there's no such thing as a great witch.
Objection!
How did Layton teleport over there? Wait, where'd he go? Oh, that was weird.
Your Honor, there's obviously a huge discrepancy between these two pieces of testimony. Miss Darklaw stated that she is known as the Great Witch. However, according to Miss Kira's testimony, Miss Darklaw was her venerable mistress, the Great Witch. That is correct. She was the Great Witch. Note Miss Kira's use of the past tense. What? Oh. Past tense? I'm afraid my grammar is not quite what it used to be. May I ask what you mean? It's simple. Miss Darklaw was mistress to the Shades, or as they also called her, the Great Witch. Therefore, she is no longer the Great Witch. She is not the Great Witch? Witness, is this true?
Huh? It is as you have heard, my lord. I relinquished my position as Great Witch in order to fulfill the objective of this task.
What would that objective be again? That would be the assassination of the storyteller, Your Honor. Witness, at the beginning of this trial, you stated that you came to town in order to complete your task, didn't you? What's more, you said that you were going to summon the fire dragon to do it. Now, this task, it wasn't Miss Darklaw here that gave it to you, was it? Yeah, so on that crowded bell tower, where people could barely stand shoulder to shoulder and everyone swarmed it shortly afterwards, are you telling me that there were a bunch of shades and invisibility cloaks who didn't track in any mud at all on the steps and had some huge machine that bellowed a fireball that was the shape of a dragon and aimed it right at the...
No, it wasn't.
So then, the most pressing question is, who was it that gave you that task? Who told you to come to Labyrinthia and assassinate the storyteller?
I cannot tell you, no matter what.
Alright, so Darklaw isn't the Great Witch anymore. Which must mean the mastermind behind this entire thing is... It would seem the defense has worked it out as well. Mr. Wright, you know who really gave Miss Kira her task tonight, do you not? Defender, I ask that you enlighten the court. Show us who really gave this witness her task to assassinate the storyteller. I have no doubts it's the storyteller himself. He wrote his own assassination. Of course he masterminded it.
Take that!
The storyteller? We're talking about someone with the authority and power to replace the Great Witch. Someone who calls the shots. I can't think of anyone else that meets those criteria, except for the storyteller himself. Preposterous, then that would mean. Exactly, Your Honor. It means that the storyteller gave his final task to Kira himself. He was, in short, responsible for his own assassination. What? Order, order, order in the court. But for what purpose? Why would he plan his own assassination? That I cannot say, Your Honor. However, the final chapter of the story does tell of his inevitable death. While he assigned this task to Kira himself, it is perfectly natural that he would do so. However, what is not natural is your behavior tonight, Miss Darklaw. What was unnatural about the High Inquisitor's behavior? You were once the head of all the Shades, and yet tonight you tried to interfere with the storyteller's plan. You rendered Miss Kira unconscious and locked her away in the belfry of the bell tower. That, to me, seems like the activity of someone aiming to put a stop to his plan altogether. Indeed. Lady Darklaw, what would be the reason for such behavior? I leave that to you, Mr. Wright. Based on what we've seen in this trial, the defense believes Miss Darklaw's reason for covering up her actions tonight can only be attributed to one thing. This plan was handed down by the storyteller himself, and Miss Darklaw was definitely aiming to put a wrench in it, but why? Well, what was the storyteller surprised about? That Ispella was on trial and in danger of being put to the flames. And what has come about due to Darklaw's interference? Ispella Cantabella has been framed. She tried to sabotage the plan. She tried to betray the storyteller. She tried to protect the storyteller. Well, I mean, these top two are the same things. Okay, protect the storyteller is right out. We know Darklaw's had it out for the storyteller for a long time. Okay, well, thinking carefully here, she tried to betray the storyteller. Well, no, everything for the storyteller worked out perfectly. His death was faked. The story came true. That's not a betrayal, really. It's more about sabotage, right? I'm gonna use a hint coin. Let's see what gets cancelled out. Ah. Okay, but if those two are the same thing, maybe it is protect? Tell you what, I'm going to quick save, just so I don't have to replay the last 53 minutes. Quick save. Yeah, it gets a bit wibbly. But yeah, I think it's betray the storyteller. There's one possible reason I can think of as to why Miss Darklaw had to hide her actions tonight. She was aiming to betray the storyteller. Betray the storyteller? I agree, Mr. Wright. Yay, he's not disapproving of me. The storyteller used the Great Witch Bezilla to take his own life. Instructions to carry out the plan were given to Miss Kira. However, Miss Darklaw planned to intervene and change the scenario at the very last minute. She planned to do so by changing the identity of the Great Witch from Miss Kira to Miss Cantabella, thus bringing us to our current situation. Miss Cantabella on trial for the murder of her father at the hands of Bezilla. You, Miss Darklaw, seem to harbor a rather strong hatred for the storyteller, if I am not mistaken. A hatred, you say? Yes, I suppose you could call it that. Ooh. That's right. Behold, my revenge. Did you say revenge? Miss Darklaw, will you please tell the court of your plan for revenge?
if you insist. The High Inquisitor and also the Great Witch. Long have I donned these two masks, one as Labyrinthia's protector, the other its harbinger of destruction. In other words, I was merely meant to serve him. And yet, he sought to selfishly pen the ending of the story under his own terms. He did not care enough about me, or any of the townspeople, to allow us the dignity of deciding our own fate. Indeed, what we witnessed tonight was the cowardly act of a man looking for an easy way to end that which he could not properly finish. He cared for no one but himself, hence this sudden sham of an ending.
Wow.
And for that I will never forgive him.
What do you mean by sham of an ending?
The Great Witch Bezella is to summon a dragon of fire and end the life of the creator. She will then be put on trial and judged, thus heralding a period of peace and prosperity for all of Labyrinthia. Such is the ending written for this town and its people. 'Tis not an ending I oppose in principle. Who would not wish a happy ending for their own people? However, the problem lies in Bezella's identity.
Yeah. Wouldn't the supposed Bezella in this ending be put to the real fire? Bezella's identity.
As you know, he assigned the role of the Great Witch to this girl beside me.
Or is she just angry that she's not the star of the finale? But you're saying that was a falsehood, is that correct?
I knew Bezella's true identity. 'Tis not something I could ever forget. That is why I went to the bell tower, and it is why I took the accused there. I did it to ensure the true witch, foretold in the story, was given the judgment she was due.
Oh. Wow, okay. The true witch? You don't mean...
Yes, I speak of none other than Espella Cantabella.
Objection!
Miss Darklaw, there is a glaring contradiction in your statement.
And what would that be?
It's supposedly common knowledge that Bezella is capable of using all magic. However, that is far from the truth. Magic does not actually exist in this town. It is all one giant illusion created by the Shades. Therefore, the Great Witch Bezella cannot exist either.
That's a good point. You fool. Defender, you really don't have a clue, do you?
But wait just a minute now. Is the Defender not correct? If magic does not exist, then it goes without saying that witches do not exist either. And that would include the Great Witch, would it not?
That's right. They've been lying to us this whole time. Dastards.
Bezella isn't real.
Objection!
Mr. Wright, there is a fundamental mistake in your argument. What do you mean? I have but one simple question. What exactly is Bezella? Huh? Well,
She's supposed to be the head of all witches.
Allow me to reword the question. The Great Witch Bezella is the root of all disaster within Labyrinthia. Knowing that, what specific disaster might she have been the root of?
That would be, I just thought of something. We've been hearing Bezella's name left and right since we got here, but not once has the real Bezella shown up in person.
Indeed, Miss Fay. Bezella herself has been virtually absent from the story thus far. But Inquisitor, did she not claim the life of the storyteller tonight? It would appear so, Your Honor. However, there is just one more thing. Consider this. Which particular story is every citizen of Labyrinthia most familiar with?
Well, that would have to be the legendary fire, right?
Precisely. But surely you're not serious. As the name implies, that is but a mere legend. No one knows for certain if it occurred. So they say, but the reality is there are still traces of that terrible fire within the town today.
The professor's right. We've even seen some of it up close and personal.
Hey, yeah, at the Great Archive. You are indeed correct, Inquisitor. Littered throughout the town are burnt remnants of a fire most fierce. However, no one can say for certain what transpired back then. You see, not a soul saw what actually happened.
Let me see if I have this straight. There's an entire town full of people and no one saw what happened?
Correct. Except for one particular person.
What?
There was one person who saw everything. I am speaking, of course, of the one responsible for the fire itself, the Great Witch Bezella.
I mean, Espella does have memories. Yes. I remember it. All of it.
Espella, what are you saying?
When I close my eyes, I can picture it so vividly. The awful sight of the flames engulfing everything they touched. The scorching heat on my skin. The smell of burning cinder all around me. The large plumes of black smoke. The warm tears streaming down my face.
Are you sure you're not talking about right here, right now?
I remember it all. What you are recalling now is the moment the Great Witch Bezella destroyed our town. Well, it appears my role here is finished. As for the rest, I leave it in your capable hands, Inquisitor.
Hey now, don't you leave? Huh? Darklaw, she... just... oh. Okay, that wasn't an abstraction of the visual novel. She just friggin' vanished. Okay. How? But magic's not real. What? Right?
She's right. These memories are proof that I am Bezella. But Espella...
Mr. Wright. Remember, if you will, what I said at the beginning of this trial. I came here to prove that Espella Cantabella is in reality the Great Witch Bezella.
Right.
There is still one more thing I wish to present to the court. I would now like to call the final witness to the stand.
The final witness?
Hold it!
Ah, it would appear he has arrived. This asshole. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I give you this trial's final witness, the storyteller. And just like that, he appeared. The man who died not hours before. And the victim of this very trial. The storyteller himself. The professor sure chose one heck of a final witness. Morning is drawing closer and closer. How this trial will end is anyone's guess. To be continued, okay. This is a fine place to end things, I think. Yeah, I'll drop a save. On the oldest file. Man, 43. Chapter 10. Epilogue? What? Doesn't feel over. I don't know. I don't quite know what to say. Yeah, I don't either. I feel like the game has moved on from wanting to provide explanations to the magic. Like, sure, Layton questioned, hey, there must be some sort of lapse in our memories and time when the magic is performed in front of us. But we still have no explanation for how and why they made the gold statue of Layton, or the gold statue of the goat, or how they made a portal in the wall for Jean to reach through, or how they made statues in London animate and attack a car, or how the Dark Law flew through the air, or made fireballs, or made wind in the office. Or how they're able to meddle with the memories. Or why people can't see the invisibility cloaks. Or... Are we even in a book? Is this even another world? But no, surely not. Like the real world that Layton and Luke and Phoenix and Maya are all from. You got satellites. You have like Google Earth. How could there be some commune of medieval peasants living in a big walled medieval city with like no electronic lights visible anywhere on the horizon? No one would notice that? No one would notice Labyrinthia just sitting there on Earth? Are we even in another world? Is this really an isekai? They tried to give an explanation to the magic, but all we have are 50,000 holes poked in every explanation. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. None. Yeah, sure, hundreds of shades, pulling shifts, monitoring a handful of witches 24/7. But how... you're telling me no one, like, ever bumped into an invisible shade? None, like, dropped or mishandled the technology machines? Never anything going wrong in 100 years. there's a possibility the cross-examinations with the storyteller could be like, oh snap, oh that makes sense, oh I get it now. But I don't think there will be. I don't think there's gonna be that moment. I don't like this. Why couldn't it just stay magic? This is a crossover. The suspension of disbelief was already there. Sure, introduce magic, go wild with it, get crazy witches and magic and fireballs and fire dragons and portals and familiars. It was fine the way it was. Why did it have to... Man, there's a sour taste in my mouth, man. Like proverbially, metaphorically, a sour taste in my mouth. I don't like it. I don't like this. I'm trying to understand what the game's going for, but Look, okay, I'll make a final concrete judgment of my thoughts once the credits roll. Once the fat lady sings and it's all really over. I mean, we're in the epilogue right now for some goddamn reason, even though I feel like things are only just gonna end now, but... No, we'll see. We'll see, okay? We'll see. I'll give the game the benefit of the doubt, and maybe it's gonna pull something cool. Maybe. But for now, I'm just leaving this recording session going, huh? Why? Yeah. Okay, I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been the nearly ended Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.